Welcome to the magnificent African bush. What a way to start the morning, but with a male leopard silhouetted in a tree. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Good morning, my name is Brent Smith. I have the incredible VM on camera, and we are right next to a male leopard eating his impala kill in the pre-dawn brilliance. So let's have a look. Look at that, isn't that absolutely stunning? The sun hasn't even popped over the eastern horizon, and young Sindile is up in the tree and feasting. We had magnificent shots of him yesterday with the sun setting, and now we're starting our morning with a leopard sunrise. And we can hear lions roaring in the distance, and Steph and Herbie are out looking for them. Remember, this is live. We're seeing this at the exact same time as you. Now, if you want to ask me questions about this leopard, you can use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or send me an email, questions@wildearth.tv. Now the sun's going to be popping up in the next little bit, and we're going to be right here next to this leopard. So get your screenshot fingers ready, and it's going to be absolutely stunning. And remember to share your screenshots with us on Twitter using the hashtag Safari Live, or pop them on our Facebook page. And of course, there are many groups run by our avid Safari Live fans, and I'm sure they would love you to share your screenshots there as well. There's a very noisy fork-tailed drongo behind us who's yeah, complaining at mouthful of hair. So at the moment he's busy plucking by the looks of things. Get the hair out of the way. Ramo would like to know, what is he eating? He's eating a yearling impala ram. Look at that. So he's eaten more than half of it. I would say he made this kill not last night, but the night before. And we haven't seen him in quite some time, so it's really great to catch up with this leopard. And I'm sure all of you can notice the collar. Now that has been put there by scientists. He's had the most interesting year, young Sindile, after catching a dog that tested positive for rabies. He was taken into quarantine. He's now back in the bush, living wild and free. Isn't that incredible? So he's plucking the hair so he can get to the nice, nutritious meat. So he's eaten all the high-value parts already, the lung, the liver. The lung, the liver's the heart, kidneys, and now he's on to what looks like the rump. Not the rump, the forequarters. Already eaten the rump. Now the leg dangling is what was attached to the rump. And you can see that's a back leg. You can see the metal tarsal gland on the back of that impala's foot there. sleepy one would like to know, is this Sindile, the famous quarantined leopard, the myth, the legend? Indeed, it is, and he is in the flesh right next to us. Now, I hope your screenshot fingers are ready, because I'm going to ask VM to come wide, and we're going to start seeing that magnificent leopard sunrise. Look at that. Isn't that absolutely stunning? Oh. Now, this is not the most ideal tree, but I think it was the most conveniently close tree. And so far, no hyenas are around, so he's having quite a good time. Hasn't been put under pressure. And he's probably going to eat a bit faster than a dominant male leopard or a dominant female would, just because he's about 2 years old, so he's trying to avoid any confrontation. So if Tingana, who's the dominant male leopard, came here, he would have to skedaddle. So he's going to try and eat as much as possible. Oh, what did he drop? He dropped something there. Oh, I'll have a look just now. So we're going to sit here, spend the sunrise with young Sindile before we move on, see what other wonders are on Nkuhuma. While we do that, let's go say good morning to Steph.
Good morning to all of you out there. And yes, it is a wonderful morning this morning. Not too chilly, about 55 degrees Fahrenheit, not too warm at either. Brilliant sunrise. And you know what? We've been with a male lion for the last 20 minutes, going through some pretty thick bush on the Mawati, and we lost him in this elephant holocaust that is this block over here. Every single tree we were at was knocked down. This male lion just weaved his weight and left Brian and I for dust. And so now we have to go around to Central and see if we can pick him up on that side of the road. He's been quite vocal this morning. In actual fact, all the lions have been quite vocal the entire night. One of the benefits of having lions camping out at the pan near where your room is that you get to enjoy them the whole night. And that is exactly what's been happening. Just constant roaring, shaking the very windows in your room almost. Anyway, not to worry, we will either find him or we won't. All right. And on that note, and while we cross over here and pick up some speed, and there we go, just to say good morning to you, is the thumb. Enjoy Sindile. We'll have some news for you in a bit.
We're still sitting with young Sindile. The sun is coming up quite quickly. So there we go, look at that. You can see that gorgeous pre-dawn light with a wonderful silhouette of a male leopard. Oh, a bit of hair there. Oh, he's got a bone as well. Crunch, crunch. So the smaller bones, a leopard will crunch through to get to the nutrient-rich marrow. The bigger bones, however, he won't feed off. He'll let them fall to the floor. I think he's been lucky. I think the hyenas have been kept at bay by all the lion activity that's been happening. A lot of that lion activity has been happening very close to here. Now, Dan would like to know, do leopards always eat their kills in a tree? Now, Dan is a new viewer, so welcome to Safari Live, Dan. Quite often they do. It's not always. Sometimes they will feed on the ground. But if there are other predators around, they prefer to put their kills in the tree to protect them from hyenas, lions. And it's one of the special adaptations leopards have developed to avoid competition with other predators that are bigger and stronger. Now, Michael would like to know, is the hoisting of a kill a learnt behavior or an instinctual behavior? I'd say it's an instinctual behavior. Leopards know they can climb from tiny little cubs. So I think it's an instinctual behavior developed over many millennia. Morning, Susan in Georgia. Susan says, what would stop another big cat from climbing up a tree and stealing the leopard's kill? Well, size, firstly, Susan. Although this is, as I said, not the most ideal tree. I think a lioness would get up there. Not very elegantly, but she would get up there. Here we go, look at that. The sun's about to pop up. But it's mostly size. They're too heavy and not as nimble. Now, they've evolved to catch bigger prey, whilst the leopards evolved as a solitary animal. So being able to cache food makes more sense, but if you live in a big family group, it's far better to gulp it down as fast as possible. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Okay, the sun is just popping up over the horizon. Oh, looks like he's going to try and move the carcass into a place where it might be a bit easier to feed. Well, that's not very nice of you. It is not an ideal tree. He does not look comfortable at all. And now we've got the rear view, and look, there we go. Look at that wonderful tail. I should have moved forward a bit. Now, of course, young Sindile has moved. Oh, at the very moment I was waiting for that sun to pop up for the perfect silhouette. How's that, Vim? So we will move around to the other side of him once the sun's up. Look at that. Now, it always amazes me how leopards can just perch in sometimes the most inconvenient of spots. And if we look at how his back leg is sitting, I can't be comfortable. Okay, let's move around. Now, this is the way to start your day. Hey Vim, another tough day in the office for all of us here on Safari Live. Don't know how we do it every day. You okay, Vim? Okay. Let's get into spot now. And you're going to see that gorgeous morning light coming through onto his face. How's that, Vim? That'll work. Every time he looks up, I half expect to see a Birmingham boy marching in. Aratus Fox would like to know, at what age will this young male leopard, Sindile, start staking out his own territory? Is it possible he might take a piece of Nkuhumas territory? Well, he's a long way away from looking for territory yet. He's probably got a good another 3 to 4 years before he's going to be big enough and strong enough to compete with an adult male leopard. And it's very unlikely he's going to stake territory in this area. Not impossible, but just very unlikely. At the moment, the male leopards around here, we're quite thick with male leopards. So we've got Tingana. Mvula is still hanging around, but he doesn't really hold territory at the moment. And then, of course, there's the ghost from the north, Gajima, and Anderson to the west, and Shavambalan in quarantine to the east. So I think he's probably going to move away from his natal area the moment he keeps coming back, because he feels a little bit more safe here. It's a sort of known area, but I don't think he will set up territory around here. And as I said, there's quite a few years before he's going to be able to. Look at that, he's heard something. Oh, nothing that important. He might have heard the lions. They're down towards Gallagher Camp. Are we going to keep sitting here with the gorgeous young Sindile in his precarious perch? While we do that, let's go see how Steph's hunt for the lions is going.
Well, it's taken us a little bit longer to get to where we thought this lion came out. He's definitely not walking and changed direction from the east that he was walking into. And now what we're doing is we're just sort of combing this drainage line on the right-hand side here to see if we can't see him walking on a game path or something. He hasn't roared again. He roared 2 or 3 times in the first couple of minutes of us seeing him, and has remained silent since then. But when we did find him this morning, he was intently listening to the east. So something's happening. Either one of his brothers is calling for some help, or some other male lions are encroaching on the territory and he's gone to go and investigate. Entirely possible. He's been, and they've been around Vuyatela for the last, I don't know, week or so, 5 days or 6 days or so. And it wouldn't be surprising if the further reaches of their territory are being encroached upon by other male lions. So my hope is that he comes out on Buffalo's cut line and gives us a look at him before he goes off into the north. And I have a suspicion that he is inside this block here somewhere where the sun is shining off to this area, somewhere here now. The only way we're going to know that is by hearing him. This block singularly is one of the best blocks in the whole of Djuma to walk around in, and it's precisely because you cannot get a car in there that I love going in there. Lots and lots of thickets of trees that the elephant have pushed down, creating barriers everywhere. And it just and it's quite a big block as well, pretty much stretching from here all the way to Buffelshoek Dam, which is probably 3 miles from here, roundabout. With only a single road through there, Hyena Road, which you can only use, really use in the dry season. Gee whiz. I'm battling a little bit to hear you, Louise. You're going to have to speak a bit louder, or something's happened to my microphone and it's gone soft. Annie, good morning, Annie, and please excuse me for going a bit silent there. I just needed to shove this earpiece into the center of my head so that I could hear it. Annie, all the way from British Columbia, good morning to you. You've asked, you know that cats have scent glands in their faces and you see them rubbing it on trees and on each other. Do they have scent glands anywhere else? They absolutely do, Annie. They've got scent glands in their feet. They've got scent glands in their faces and in their manes. Their skins themselves are covered in not as many glands as we've got one of the highest sweat glands per centimeter, or whatever you want to call it, out of the animal kingdom. But they've got a lot of these sebaceous glands on their skin, and they use it to rub against one another and to reaffirm bonds with one another. So they rub each other's scent around one another. And a scientist the other day was telling me that cats definitely will smell one another from the same pride and from different prides. However, cats, especially the larger predatory cats, are much more prone to just attacking someone that they can't smell first. How's that for an interesting piece of information? Now, I'm expecting this lion to come out exactly where we are now. There's this enormous game path that comes out just here, and I'm hoping that he is walking on this game path somewhere. What we are going to do is, on the crest here, we are going to stop and switch off the car, and we're going to listen and hear if we can hear him roaring. Hopefully he roars enough that we can find him again. But while we stand by here and pitch our ears into the bush, we're going to send you back over to Brent, who's got that beautiful Sindile.
So he's still in the same spot in that very precarious perch, munching away. Now, isn't this the way every day should start? With a leopard in a tree? What do you think, Fem? Absolutely, I agree. Oh, look at him repositioning. Now, Birdie in Georgia says she's surprised that no vultures came to the kill. That would have been fun to see. Indeed it would have, Birdie. I think that would have been absolutely magnificent. He did keep such a good close eye on it, though. So maybe a vulture appeared while we weren't here, and he saw it off. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Now, Birdie, strange you should mention that. There's a bird of prey. But it's not a vulture. You see him there? There he goes. It's an African harrier hawk flying east into the rising sun. I thought, Birdie, your prediction had come true, and I thought, sure, that's an early morning vulture, but alas, just a harrier hawk. Nemophilist would like to know what kind of tree is Sindile precariously perched in at the moment. It is a red bush willow, Combretum apiculatum, and not the biggest tree and not the most ideal tree to put a kill in, but he seems to be faring quite well, apart from the occasional near drop of his carcass. Now, Shannon in Ohio is wondering if Shadow has lost her current cub, would she try find young Sindile? I probably don't think so. I think as he's been away from her for a bit too long, so I think she would probably behave aggressively towards him like we saw her do a couple of months ago. Now, I mean, if we think about it, oh, and I mean, if we think about it, he has been away from her for probably close on a year now, so I think it's unlikely that she would show any sort of maternal affection towards him. As I said on yesterday's Sunset Safari, I don't think there's going to be much left by this evening. Now, Toxigenics is wondering if we've ever considered using drones to help find animals. We have, and there are some very interesting things in development, and that's about all I can say for now. If you go look at our Facebook page, you might come down the tree right towards us. Isn't that beautiful? Look at those eyes. he comes. Hello, little horror. Off he goes. Where's he, Vim? Right behind us. So you can see how close he is behind Vim. Vim's backrest is blocking the view of him. Do you cameraman really need a backrest, Vim? Of course, but it's ruining the shot. It's an invisible leopard. Okay, he's coming back out. There we go. He's going to go see what he dropped under the tree. He did drop a particularly large piece, but I think it was mostly bone. Waste not, want not. Looking very chuffed with himself. Now, if there had been hyenas around, he's going to stash it right next to Fanuti there. Fan, you better be careful, otherwise your leg will be next. Oops, he got a bit of a fight from the car. Tack's just moving a bit further away from him, so he's a bit more comfortable. There we go. Okay, so we're going to leave young Sindile now and go see what other wonders are out in the African bush. We're going to give some other people a chance to come in. But what a fantastic way to start the morning with a leopard silhouetted by the sunrise. So while we do that, let's go across and see how Steph's hunt for the lions is going.
He's roaring. Excuse me, not talking right now, but we've got a male lion that is roaring from much further west of where we are now. We're just waiting on this particular road to see if this male lion comes out, and let's see if he answers that roar. I'm hoping that he will. Either that or Brian and I have just gotten so directionless at the moment. We're waiting in completely the wrong way. I doubt it. We are standing almost exactly where he was walking towards, and then using the landmarks that we have. So he hasn't replied, this particular male lion. Now lions, they have this annoying ability to walk in at 90-degree angles to one another. Or not to one another. They have this annoying ability to walk in 90-degree jinks. So they'll walk a little bit and then they'll completely change direction and walk a little bit and then completely change direction and walk again, and almost walk these funny triangle shapes, really. And I'm doubting highly that this particular male did that. He's either crossed over where we're standing by now, did take us a little bit of time to get here, or he is lying up in the bush somewhere close to us, trying to nurse his sore paw and listening to the roaring around him. That particular roar that we've just heard now from far away, that comes from, if I were to guess, somewhere probably Arethusa maybe, on the other side, little Hoffman's maybe on the other side of our boundary. Just still listening. That's all we're trying to do at the moment. I'm going to give it a few more minutes here, and then Brian and I will troll this road just to make sure that he has or hasn't crossed. And then we'll go look for something else. Jason, you've asked if we have any clue as to why the female chased off the Birmingham boy yesterday. I wasn't in the sighting, Jason, and although we discussed it briefly around the dinner table last night, there wasn't really any conclusion. It was just, Brent just said that it was a fight. It looked like the male perhaps got a little bit close to the female with her cubs and she saw him off. There has been this sort of brewing tension amongst the lions, even for the last couple of days. There's been this, I don't know, for lack of a better word, it's just tension that's been brewing between the lions and the lioness. A couple of days ago, Brian and I witnessed the male lion dominating the female in a show of aggression when she came up behind him and the cubs were between him and her, and it looked like she was trying to initially just chase him off, and then he turned around and he attacked her. We had that interaction a couple of days ago, and then the tables were completely turned yesterday where she attacked him and left him a bit bloodied and scratched up. So who knows, who knows exactly what's happening in these cats' lives. They react a lot to hormonal changes and to pheromone changes in their own bodies. And you might find that there's a female in that group that's perhaps coming into or coming out of estrus or a cycle of some sort. There's males in attendance and he's creating this tension, he's creating this pressure with these females. Generally speaking, in the Kruger National Park at least anyway, male lions are not always with female lions. They have to really walk a lot of their territory because it's not open grassland here. It's not these wide open plains that a male lion can literally just stand up in and be seen and be heard. Here, male lions have to walk their territory, have to continually stake their claim on their territories. And so when male lions are with the females as often as what these Birmingham boys or this Birmingham boy has been with these particular females, there's this frustration and this tension that builds up. And if I were to put any sort of generalization on it, that would be my take on it, at least. It could be something completely different, but it's just the frustration that I'm busy seeing on that. So I hope that answered your question there, Jason. I'm not too sure exactly what is going on. Brian, what do you think? We've got a bunch of impala here now, which is good. So we've got a herd of impala that's now moved onto this open area here, and they are going to act as our sentries here. I think we're going to carry on going down this road. Why are you running? Wow, there's a lot of a massive herd of impala. Ramo, you've just asked me if lions contact any types of diseases. They absolutely do. They are subject to a number of diseases, some of which are even have made headlines in recent times. There's a story of this feline AIDS, or the immune deficiency virus. They have tuberculosis, a type of feline tuberculosis that they can get. They suffer from uncountable different types of parasites and bacterial infections that they can get, even to a point where their bodies turn on them and they get chronic septicemia. There's a list of a bunch of different things there. I don't, out of the top of my mind, I don't remember all of them, but the ones that are mostly talked about is this feline AIDS, or type of immunodeficiency syndrome, and then tuberculosis are the two that are occupying the top spot at the moment in terms of the public eye. All right, I think what we're going to do is let's leave those impala to act as a sentry for us. Let's carry on in this direction then. This male lion's not roaring anymore, so he's either gone down to bed or he's walking it off. Let's see if we can either find tracks of this male crossing this particular road, just to confirm our suspicions, or perhaps pick him up sleeping next to the road. All right, now Brent has left Sindile so that a few other vehicles can come in and have a look at him. And I'm sure he wants to give you an update about what his next plan is, so we're going to send you over to Brent for an update.
So while we were sitting with young Sindile, I heard some elephants towards Sydney's waterhole, and with this glorious morning light, I'm hoping that they're still there and kicking up some dust. So today, from a photography day, we're going to do something different. So, of course, we often sit there with our big lenses and we go in tight. Today is a wide-angle day, so I'm not going to put my big lens on. I'm only going to keep my wide on, and let's see how that goes. So I challenge all of you out there. Of course, VM is going to zoom, but also we're going to try to keep some wide shots, change it up a little bit. Ellie was around here. It was a big trumpet. Sounded like a nice herd. But they might have been to the north of the Buffelshoek cut line. Where are you, elephants? So there we go. I was hoping there might be some Ellies out in the open here, but nothing. So I'm going to keep moving. Hello, Anna. Anna's in Atlanta. Oh, 1 second, Anna. Copy, thanks, Tux. I was looking for them. I'm coming from Buffelshoek cut line. So there we go. Those elephants were a little bit further to the west of us. So Tuxon has bumped into them. So let's go have a look. So Anna was wondering if an animal loses an eye or a sense of smell or any other senses, will they either develop or their other senses become stronger, or will they perish at a younger age? Well, it completely depends, Anna. There's many a leopard and lion and hyena that has survived well on one eye, including Queen Karula's mother, the great Safari. She had one eye for a long, long period of her life, and I've seen quite a lot of hyenas with one eye, and they seem to do okay. Now, I would say if you're an antelope, losing an eye or whatnot would definitely cause you to possibly expire at a younger age, and very sad. Lord Nelson, who was a one-eyed, one-horned impala with one ambition, seems to have vanished, so I think he might have expired. So he lost his eye during the rutting season, fighting with other impala. There's Ellies around here somewhere. Now, while we try and catch up with the elephants, Steph's got a magnificent pair of avian predators to show you.
We definitely do have a magnificent pair of avian predators. They are my favorite eagles, a pair of African hawk eagle that you're having a look at there. Just busy enjoying the morning sunlight and sunrise, waiting for a few thermals to generate before they soar off and start their hunting for the day. Absolute terror to ground squirrels and francolin. This is what these birds specialize in. Up to the size of guinea fowl, but it is bizarre that even tiny little birds like waxbill and southern black tit, etc., chinspot batis, really react negatively to these birds, scurrying into the undergrowth, issuing their alarm calls. These birds generate terror like nothing I've ever seen. They do hunt cooperatively, and by that I mean one bird will fly high and in front, and another bird will fly low and slightly behind. And as the bird high up gathers attention and start to scurry around, the bird that is flying lower then bursts into the fray and picks up any stragglers that are a little bit too slow to get going in the morning, or to get going out of the way. Really beautiful picture that, to this aching blue sky behind them. So Lucy, all the way from South Bend in Indiana, good morning. You wanted to know how the squirrel is doing that I adopted. I'm fine, thank you very much, Lucy. I got an update on what he did yesterday. He was left alone for the day. Well, my wife was out, and when she got back, she had brought him with a packet of pecan nuts, which he first refused to eat because he'd been left alone the whole day, and then tucked into eating 2 and then hiding the rest of the packet away, who knows where in my house, to be found in the following days and weeks as we unpack whatever clothes that we're trying to wear or whatever bag. They have this hoarding ability like I've never seen before, and it's quite cute. They scratch open with their feet this way, their front feet, and then they push back whatever they've used to cover with both their feet in this fashion. They don't dig a hole and then push it. They scrape open and push closed. It's just an observation about southern tree squirrels that I've made while having one living in my house. All right. Robin, you've asked a good question about why is this bird have hawk in its name. Is it a hawk or is it an eagle? It's actually a true eagle, Robin. It's just called a hawk eagle because of its fashion of flying. They're not that big. They one of the smaller eagles, if not the smallest eagle. I would say that a Wahlberg's eagle is perhaps a little bit bigger, maybe around about the same size. But anyway, back to the point. So they got a very hawk-like appearance, being quite thin and skinny, as you can see there. And then their manner of flying is very hawk-like, this fast flitting between trees, not high soaring that they have. So it's an eagle, a true eagle, but with hawk-like appearance. And that's where they get their name, hawk eagle, from. What might be interesting is, let me have a look here in my bird book about what they say about its African hawk eagle, Aquila spilogaster, plate 71. Aquila is definitely eagle. Let's see here. Let's go to plate 71. Almost there. I'll be with you now. African eagle. Spilogaster means spotted underside.
We have Ellies all around us. Absolutely magnificent. I think, will today be another day like yesterday? The day that just keeps on giving. You can just hear all the trees being obliterated. Look at that. Now, there we go. Hello. We have viewers from all over the world, and today, in particular, we have 2 viewers sitting in Sydney who named Ashley and Justin. Well, hello, Ashley and Justin, and that is from your family who are staying at Juma, who were sharing that leopard sizing with us a little while ago. They just asked if we could say hello to you, so hi. And they said you were watching, and they messaged to say, well, while you're watching on your TV, we're watching and listening to Brent, who is parked right next to him. Oh, there goes a tree. In the light. Vim's going to try. There we go. Oh, and there it goes. Looks like a little knob thorn. Let's just try and move a little bit so the light's a little bit less harsh for them. Oh, no, that's not going to work. Let's try forward. How's that one there? There we go. Just love listening to the sounds that a herd of elephants make. And it's not only the breaking of branches and crunching away, it's the scrape of the skin against the thorns. Just so many different noises. Kicking up and digging with their feet. You can even hear them breathing. There's a little one profiting on the hard work Mom has done. Isn't that just absolutely stunning? I love all the dust. Hello, little boy. Sounds like quite a big herd. I think we're just on the edge. There's quite a few more ahead of us. Hello. There's another lovely big adult elephant cow. Now, Birdie is wondering, how quickly will the trees recover from this elephant feeding destruction? Oh, oh, oh. Mom's busy on the trees today. That's the second one she's nearly pushed over. Well, she's pushed over one. Now, oh, here we go. No, digging again. Birdie, oh, see, I don't consider it destruction. I mean, it's natural behavior from elephants, and it's very important for the bush that they do bash and crash and push things down. And it's very good for turning over nutrients in the soil, and you'd be amazed. A little bit of rain, and it recovers incredibly quickly. Now, we've had a very wet 10 years, so there's a lot of young trees that are actually clogging up the open areas. And now with this drought, it's forcing the elephants to feed on them. And it's actually quite good for the bush that they open it up, make more space for grass to grow. Now, elephants are what we call a keystone species, capable of changing the environment around them. And you can see places that don't have elephants. You get complete clogged thickets of acacia or dicrostachys that is almost impenetrable to other animals. The elephants are very, very important in maintaining the ecosystem. They're nature's gardeners, pruning, plucking, pushing, digging. Now, them just quickly, right next to us on the ground for the bird watchers. Oh, it's disappearing in there. There you go. There it is. Good morning, rattling cisticola. Being quiet for once. Well, while the cisticola disappears away, we're going to sit with these elephants a bit longer, but Steph's got an incredible antelope to show you.
All rightly, we had an incredible antelope to show you. She has just disappeared into the bushes here, and I'm hoping that she sticks her beautiful face out of this particular bush and lets us see where she is. It's so thick I can't even see a shadow of this particular bird. But there you go, come on, let's go forward a bit more. We'll just show it. Looks like she's changed direction. We'll be with you in 1 second. Here she is, gonna stick out her little face. Just an eyeball. It's a kudu that's standing inside there. Here she comes. There you go. A greater kudu is what we're having a look at there. A female greater kudu. Definitely showing us why they get their nickname, the grey ghosts of the bush. And she is busy nibbling. Oh, there's many kudus actually. Who would have thought? I must be honest, they have to be some of the most graceful antelope that we have out here, and also some of the most majestic. The other day I was asked, what is the best? Well, what are my favorite antelope? And I had to say it was a tie between an oryx, a sable, and a greater kudu male. A three-way tie between the males of all of those particular species. They hold, for me at least, the top spot in terms of most magnificent. And there they go, off into the distance. All right, and once leaving these ghosts to fade into the bush, and we're going to send you back to Brent with those fantastic elephants.
Vam and I are just sitting here quietly enjoying our morning with elephants. Now we're with the young bull, who's got really magnificent, oh, I think they're quite magnificent, up-curving tusks. They're not very big, they've just got a lovely shape to them. Now, remember I was talking about how the eddies are going to open up some of these impenetrable thickets of young trees. So one of the reasons I moved was not only to look at that beautiful little bull, but you can see this impenetrable thicket of young acacias. Now, if you look deep into it, the eddies are inside it, opening it up. But we're going to, here we go, let me just move a little bit forward for them. And you can see those lovely, how's that, Vam? Those lovely tusks, as I was talking about the shape, beautiful curve on them. Six String, a new viewer, a huge welcome to Safari Live. And Six String says, wow, that elephant is eating the tree. Indeed they are. That's what they do. So one quite interesting thing about elephant feeding behavior is that during the summer months, when it's not a drought, they normally will eat about 80% of their diet will consist of grass. But during the winter months, that changes and 80% will consist of trees and bushes. This year we've had a drought, so it's probably a bit skewed towards trees and bushes. But those ellies are moving off into the thickets now, so we're going to do the same, see what else we can find. Now, William in Oregon is asking, what is an elephant's peripheral vision like? It's okay. It's not terrible. It's not wonderful. They do actually have a lot better vision than people often give them credit for. And just checking through. No. Let's keep moving. So I think while Steph and Herbie are searching for those lions, I think Veerman and I are on a leopard mission today. So we're going to meander our way down south, and fingers crossed that Queen Karula was going to make an appearance before Veerman and I go on holiday. So Veerman and I will both be going on leave tomorrow. And we're planning an expedition up to the far-flung northern reaches of the Limpopo province, to an area on the far eastern side of the Soutpansberg Mountains. A very little known area, very good birding, and we're hoping some good animals and some good tiger fishing as well. Okay, so what we're going to do, as I said, we're on a leopard mission. So we're going to go down Impala Plains, check to Impala Plains, check around Zoe's, check around the Balanites tree. If we get no tracks there, head further south, get onto our southern boundary, and make our way east from there. And I'm hoping that we're going to find tracks of either Shadow or Karula while we do that. So while we go check for leopard tracks, let's go see what Steph is up to.
Hello, hello. We are just trawling down Central at the moment. I'm not 100% convinced. Actually, let me rephrase it. I'm 100% convinced that this lion is in Buffelshoek. I'm doubting myself. And so what I want to do is just check exactly where we lost this male lion. As I mentioned a bit earlier, these lions have this... When you're tracking these male lions, when you learn how to track male lions, you always got to take into account the fact that they jink at these 90-degree angles. And maybe, just maybe, he's come out of this block. This is where we lost him, in this holocaust of a thicket. We couldn't drive through here anymore, not without either growing wings, replacing myself with Brent Leo Smith, or allowing some hovering capacity in this car to all of a sudden develop. And so we think he's come in this direction, but sometimes they join a road like this and then they just walk along the length of the road. I doubt that, because when we found him this morning, he was just totally focused into the north, just completely 100% focused. And he was roaring a couple of times, and then, as my luck would have it, as soon as we went live, we lost visual of him, as so often happens with me. Nevertheless, I've now come down Central just for that nagging 1 or 2% chance that he may be lying next to the road, and then we'll carry on and we'll go look for something else. Maybe the rest of the Pride, actually. That's probably a good enough idea around Gallagher. Birdie, all the way from Georgia. Good morning, Birdie. You've just said you're just amazed at how animals can sort of blend into their surroundings, and all the different animals. You know, from elephant to giraffe. You mentioned about keystone species and all that sort of thing. You're 100% right, Birdie. There's just, it doesn't matter what type of animal you're looking at over here. Even a zebra, who has this most dazzling coat of black and white, seems to just lose themselves in the background here. They make it incredibly difficult to see, in actual fact. You know, I just find it incredible that they, just having a look there for tracks, that they move through like they do. You know, you one moment, I mean, we were just with those kudu. One moment you're looking at a bush, the next moment you're seeing 3 or 4 different animals, each weighing in excess of 200 pounds, and they were just hiding behind that bush. So it is quite amazing. And there's no leaves on these trees at the moment. No leaves, no grass. All right, so I can confirm that this male lion hasn't walked down this road. As I'm busy speaking to you every now and again, I'm looking at the road at places where we can most likely find tracks, and he hasn't come out. So he's either sleeping inside here or he's moved across, which is the more likely of the two. Yet to be confirmed or concluded yet. Oh, thank you, Dawn. Good morning, Dawn. You just paid me a compliment. You said I'm quite knowledgeable. Thank you. However, I don't feel that some days. Some days I feel completely idiotic out here. And then you asked, how long have I been a guide for? I started guiding in 1999, Dawn. Was when I became a professional field guide with a bit of training before that. I spent probably about 6 months or so training to become a guide. I started at a place called Sabi Sabi, which is just a little bit further south to where we are now, probably about 40 miles or so, in the same game reserve. And been doing it pretty much ever since. What I was born to do, I was lucky enough to find it at a young age. And all by happenstance, really. It was just a trick of fortune, my luck, that I managed to find it so early on. And from the feel of things, I'll probably be in this industry for some time yet. Alrighty, now we are on Nyala Road South, where yesterday afternoon there were around about 60 or 70 elephants that were moving through here. Not a whisper of an elephant right now. I want to go and have a look at Buffelshoek Dam and see if that mud that was so sticky and glutinous yesterday has managed to either be churned up over the course of the evening or is completely dried up. It was to a point yesterday, it was dry to a point yesterday that an elephant picking up some mud and flinging it over their back with their trunk couldn't even elicit a mud to stick to them. It sort of hit them on the head and then rolled off the side rather than sticking to them. They had to kneel in the mud and headbutt and rub themselves in the mud to get covered with anything decent. I'm going to have a look. There was one left over. The last herd that was in this particular area numbered probably around about 10 or 12 individuals. And if they'd come through, maybe they'd do a little bit more muddying up. Here we have a herd of Nyala. Let's go forward a little bit, I think. Maybe a slightly better view, maybe. There we go. A herd of female Nyala or Nyala ewes. And just that sunlight on their reddish coats looking absolutely fantastic. They're browsers, very similar to the southern greater kudu that we just were with a few minutes ago. These belong to they belong to a group of antelope called the spiral-horned antelope. The males of these particular Nyala have these twisted horns, not quite as spectacular as the southern greater kudu. Nevertheless, they have a much more striking coat. a conservation success story, in that these nyala were introduced into the Sabi Sands, reintroduced into the Sabi Sands, I should say, and have done incredibly well. I can't remember the exact date, but I think it was in the 90s, in the early 90s somewhere. And since then have proliferated. And they're now one of the most common antelope that we see. In the distance, I'm hearing the song of the southern ground hornbill as well. So that is good news. They're incredibly rare birds. We're looking at only about 1,500 pairs of bird left in the world, and I'm busy listening in the distance, a couple of miles away, probably about a mile or two away from where I am at the moment, way too far for you to hear on these little microphones that we have that basically just capture the sound in and around the car. But they make this beautiful noise, much deeper than that actually, and much better. I'm not good with bird noises. And Joey, all the way from Australia, good afternoon to you, Joey. You've asked me what is my favorite species of hornbill in Africa. Wow, that's an interesting question. I'm actually going to have to show you that. I don't actually have a special, thinking about it, Joey, I don't actually have a special hornbill. But what I will do is I will open up my bird book, go to hornbills. I want to say that trumpets or hornbill, I mean, they're striking, but are they my favorite? No. Yellow-billed hornbill, just because of their charisma, potentially. Crowned hornbill, because I've only really seen one or two of them. No. Southern ground hornbill with their beautiful lashes and the fact that they are so rare. I think I like all hornbills. Let me do that. I like all hornbills. I like the grey hornbill because of their grey colours. They've just got, I'm attracted to the grey colour out here in the bush. The yellow-billed hornbill because of their charisma. The crowned hornbill because of their habitat, living in the dry Mupanis, and the fact that I've only seen a handful, probably 3 or 4. The trumpet or hornbill with their very alarming baby-like cry and their size, their giant size. And then the southern ground hornbill with their size, their rarity, their beautiful eyelashes, blood red faces, and that booming call that they have. So all the hornbills, let me say that. I like them all. All right, I think let's carry on to Bullshoek. These Nyala ewes have shared their breakfast with us. Thank you, ladies. Have a good day. Try not to get eaten by leopard. Leopard, of course, quite capable of taking down a Nyala ewe like you were seeing there. Right size for a leopard. And because they share the same like for the thick bush, quite often we find leopard out here feasting on Nyala. Alrighty. So, onward we go to Buffelshoek Mud Puddle, or what's left of it at least anyway. We might get a little bit of signal shake-up as we go through this dip. Sometimes happens. I'll speed up, make it less painful to watch. Alright, what we can do, rather than watch me speed through here, is send you over to Brent for an update.
Oh, there's a flock of hardy-dar ibises calling, making noise and heading off to find something to eat. Oh. Off they go. Okay, so we've decided to come have a little gander on Arathusa. We're going to make our way past Red Dam. With the water there at the moment, it's a really, really popular spot. I've also got a report about a leopard who shall not be named. It might cross into Arathusa, so that's a good reason to sort of diddle-daddle around. Let's go down Parallel Road. Now, this is one of Shadow's favourite roads, so who knows, maybe our leopard morning is going to be extremely lucky. So I know a lot of you are I'm going to preempt, are going to be wondering about Shadow's cub and whether it's alive or not, and the answer is we don't know. And that's one of the other reasons I want to have a quick look through this area. Maybe we'll get lucky. Sorry, I'm just listening. So, Shadow's being pushed a lot at the moment by Salahesh moving in from the west. And Salahesh's cub Tiani is now over a year old, so probably going to go independent very soon. So she might be moving out of her core part of her territory, leaving that to her female cub. And that's why she's pushing further into Shadow's territory. Thought I heard a hyena very close by. Huh? Thought I just heard a hyena whoop just ahead of us. Well, let's get on top and let's see. It'd be nice to see hyenas. I'm not seeing them too much since they moved their den into the Manyaleti. Judy H was wondering whether any signs of hyena. Well, we just heard one somewhere around here. I don't know how close it was. It was quite difficult to hear over the engine. Now, of course, it could be on the move as well. I mean, there's not a cloud in the sky at the moment. And there's a nice, very beautiful sight. And there's a knobthorn in full bloom. I said today is a wide-angle day. So I'm getting, VM's going to get a nice zoom for you there. You can see the flowers. Now, always a good spot to look for white-bellied sunbirds at the moment. None so far on this tree. Beautiful. So, wide-angle day. So no sign of any tracks yet, but also we're the first person to drive this road this morning. So, and lovely, any tracks we're going to find are fresh and going to let us know what's been happening over the last couple of hours. Now, of course, also, apart from looking for Shadow in this area we often see Tingana in as well, although he does cover such great distances, he could pop up anywhere. Justin would like to know if I had any more cheetah dreams last night. No, I didn't, Justin. I think all dreaming was interrupted by the cacophony of lion noises that went on through the night. Hyena tracks. Now, it's still cool enough that some of the leopards might be on the move. So that's what we're hoping. Mike, it's open lock. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Mike, make your way. It's no problem, even if they are there having a look. Let's just have a look. Make sure, like a nice area like this is an area a leopard might use to move through. See, you've got this natural seep line, and there is still a little underground water. You can see the green on the grass next to us here. So there's a good chance that impala and other species might be feeding on it. And it's a good spot for a leopard to hunt because there's nice thick bush around it. So always a good place to look for tracks. We're going to keep slowly meandering down Parallel Road, hoping to find any sign of leopards. While we do that, let's go see how Steph's doing back north from Djuma.
Very good, thank you very much. We just bumped into some kudu again. I almost think it's the same herd. Actually, I'm sure it's the same herd because we've just gone around the block basically to see if this male lion hasn't popped up. There you go. Get out of the way and have a look. Beautiful pose there. Thank you. Oh, they're so lovely. Off they go. Nibble here and a nibble there. You can see the thicket that she's in at the moment. Lifting up her head. Look at that. Feeding almost entirely vertical. Don't know what tree that is that they're feeding on. Whatever it is, it's almost too high for them to get. They are ruminants, so they will eat in the morning like this. They'll eat for a couple of hours and then they'll lie down in the ruminating posture to ruminate. So Shamsung, you've just mentioned that the gemsbok or the oryx is a very beautiful antelope. It is indeed a very beautiful antelope. And you wanted to know if we have it here or in our traverse areas. No, Shamsung, very similar to the springbok, the oryx or the desert oryx occurs from the center of the country basically all the way to the west, rather than on the eastern side of the country. And you start to see them pretty much overlapping where the springbok are. So from the center of the country on the highland plateau all the way into the west coast and up into Namibia, you get that fantastically colored desert oryx. So we have a new viewer, and please forgive me if I get this Twitter handle away, but wrong at least anyway. Beginner Plocks, I think, is that it? Beginner Plocks. Just want to say welcome aboard, welcome to the WildEarth family, welcome to the WildEarth community and to Safari Live. So good luck, and I hope you stick around for a long time. You've asked me what ruminate means. Ruminate is when an animal chews the cud. So they've eaten some food, stored it in a pouch in the beginning part of their tummies. They then regurgitate that food and chew it smaller, and that is called ruminating. When they're lying down and they are doing this bolus into their mouth, chewing it into a finer substance, mixing it with a bit more saliva, and then swallowing it again. What happens is this ball of basically dried leaves or dried grass is denser than the fluid, lighter medium on the top. And as they regurgitate up a piece and they swallow it again, this fluid-filled mass goes over the top basically and into a second pouch, into the main part of the tummy where the digestion of the leaves take place. So if you are close to a farming community, or you've ever seen a cow or a sheep lying on their sides with their head up, that's called the ruminating posture, and it's in that posture that they're regurgitating their grass that they've eaten. I hope that answered your question, and once again, don't stop them coming, keep them coming. Keeps the conversation nice and fresh. Alrighty. Let us carry on down the Buffelshoek cut line, and we are now heading in a westerly direction onto something new and something better. Good morning, Aqua. You are commenting on the color on the inside of a kudu's ear, that pinkish hue, and you'd like to know if that's being caused by insects or it is actually the color. It's actually the color, Aqua. They have got this sort of pinkiness to the inside of their ear, similar to our ears, the inside of the ears. I have no doubt that it is created by some blood vessels lying pretty close to the skin, and it can be exacerbated by ticks. So ticks can go into the ears and they can eat into the layer of skin. But what usually happens then is it gets a bit darker, not just with the ticks, but also with crusted blood scabs. So it loses that pinky hue. But that pinky color that you saw there, that is absolutely the color on the inside of a kudu's ear, and one of its diagnostic features. You can see there's some smoke lying on the horizon. Looks like a big fire somewhere. So Tomcat has just made a comment that says that's exactly what he tells his wife when he's a little bit hungover, is that, honey, I'm ruminating. Tomcat, I hope that works for you, but sure as hell doesn't work for my wife. Well done on getting it right. Have a look at that band across the horizon. This time of the year, and literally for the whole of last season, we didn't have any fires. And that's because we had very low vegetation. But there, if we can see it, there you can see that darker band that's just above the level of the trees. You might have to put your face about as close to the monitor as I've got mine right now to see it. There you can see it. It looks like a cloud, but it isn't. That is smoke from a bushfire on the escarpment. Now, fires at this time of the year are one of the greatest threats that we can have out here. And on a wet year where you've got lots of bush and lots of dried up grass, they call it moribund. It's the combustible material. Fires here can whip through the Sabi sands every couple of days, and I've spent nights beating at fires out here. Last year we didn't have a single fire, and this year so far we haven't had a single fire, and that is because there's just not any combustible material around. It's all been eaten, it's all been taken away. You can have a look inside here. The moribund that you can see is pretty much just the dried leaves that you're seeing. A fire wouldn't go anywhere here. So nothing to burn, but there is a definite evidence that there is something to burn a little bit closer to the escarpment. And I'm wiping my brow to say thankfully it couldn't get here. All right, but on that note, I think we're going to send you through to Brent. We're going to try and get into a different area this morning, see if we can find something more to show you, and hopefully he's got something more interesting to tell you.
We've changed our plan completely. We actually just switched off for a second to listen. And unfortunately, there was quite a lot of noise on the radio, but VM heard it clearly. And I'm going to make the noise, and you tell me what animal I'm looking for. Woo, 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 woo. Now, we're not 100% sure. We just caught the end of it. So what animal makes a noise like that? So we've actually backtracked. We've come back to Triple M, and we think that sound was coming from this area. So now I'm looking for tracks. So if you know what animal makes that noise, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or send an email to questions@wildearth.tv. We're guessing around here. So we're just going to get up to the top where we can see quite a long way down the road. We were over there somewhere when we heard it. Now that is not what we were looking for, but we'll look at them anyway. Calm down, piggies. Hi, Ma. Okay, I'm just keeping quiet so I can listen again. Lovely little sounder of warthog. Female with her adult female offspring. You can hear a lilac-breasted roller. You can hear woodpecker. Well, Jen, Raisa, and many others, you are spot on. It was the contact call of the African wild dog. Now, I'm sitting here, I can see a long way to the south, and we can also see a long way back to the north. Now, quite often, they sort of pop up behind you. I haven't seen any tracks just yet. So there we go. VM's going to show you how far down the road we can see that way. So we're hedging our bets, being able to see a long way both ways. Some impala being silly, snorting, but that's not what we're listening for. I always have paranoia with wild dogs that they're going to cross behind me. They've been playing much, or maybe making much of a mockery of me recently. But I've spotted them before drive going to work, and then they managed to disappear before I could catch up with them. So we've got that impala making funny noises. It's a bit late for rutting, but that. We've got lilac-breasted roller. What else can we hear? Very angry magpie shrike. A woodpecker pecking at a piece of wood. But we haven't heard that call again. Here we're going to sit here for another few minutes before moving on. And while we do that, let's go see what Steph's up to.
Welcome back. Have a look at this little steenbok that's there. Copy that. I'd like to come and join you at that sighting if you don't mind. Copy that, will do. All right, so that was a steenbok. Sorry, excuse me for not identifying that to you as we stopped there. I was just busy speaking to Mike on the radio as you came across to us. That was a little steenbok standing quite still. Unusual for them is that they usually dash off at the first sign of you stopping or pointing the camera at them in any particular way. All right, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go and visit young Sindile. That particular sighting hasn't gathered their attention this morning yet. For some or other odd reason, it seems like he's been left to his own devices. One or two people have gone in there after Brent, and then it seems like everyone's left him alone. All right. Dina, you've asked if myself and the other presenters get any sore necks from constantly turning around. No, we don't, Dina. Not really, I don't think. I mean, we're all getting a bit older, and I think the usual aches and pains associated to being strapped to a car that bounces around, is prevalent, but nothing much, nothing more than that. Thanks for asking. All right, getting up to the Sandy Patch Road, which is what I want to go on. There was some elephant here with Brent a little while ago. Maybe they've moved on. It's always an interesting place, this, in that they did some hippo capturing or relocation here as the drought started. The Sabi Sands jumped on the wagon quite quickly and realized that these hippos are going to run out of food to eat, and so they moved them into areas of the country that has a little bit more food, and also in a way to sort of reseed dams and rivers in other parts of the country that don't have hippo. Hippo and man have been in sort of a conflict with one another for centuries, because the arable land next to riverbeds and next to dams is quite often populated by hippo, and hippo are aggressive. They want to eat what they want to eat, and they want to live where they want to live. And it is difficult to protect yourself. If you can imagine a rural peasant of some sort hacking a living out of the ground using a stick and basic hand implements, it's very, very difficult to protect yourself from a hippo. And because of that, over the centuries, man has sort of eradicated hippo from most water bodies around the country, and they really were only confined to the game reserves for many, many, many years. And it's become a recent sort of endeavor to basically reseed dams and pans around the country with hippo and spread them away from these nature reserves. I quite enjoy that sort of concept, moving animals out of national parks and back into these protected sanctuaries. So Carly, welcome to the WildEarth family and welcome aboard. You're a new viewer and welcome to this community. I'm sure you'll be welcomed with open arms. You've said that you love this stream, and I've just bumped into some elephant. Because I've bumped into some elephant here, I've completely forgotten what you asked me, Carly. Please excuse me. Well, here we go. Yes, you've asked me what is my favorite part of the job. Collie, exactly what you've just seen me do now. Lose my mind because I've come around a corner and there are some elephant in front of me. All right, let me just get hold of Brent. He's desperately trying to get hold of me as well. So you have a look at this elephant. I'm going to be speaking on the radio to Brent. Go with your message, Brent. These elephants are very peaceful, looking good. Just flitting around in the leaf litter. Have a look at that foot. The size of a dustbin lid and worn smooth. With all those cracks in the bottom, very, very good trackers can actually track an elephant from the pattern that is cracked into the bottom of an elephant's foot. I've seen scars on the bottom of an elephant's foot where they've cut their feet open, and that's become quite prevalent. But I must say, I'm not that good a tracker yet that I could pick out one elephant's foot from another. And that is basically just skin. It's exactly the same as the bottom of our feet, by the way. They're just much more calloused and much more cracked. But quite soft. Same as if you had to feel your heel, knowing that you have a heel bone inside there, but your heel is covered with that fatty deposit, that elasticy fatty deposit with the hard skin on the outside. That is exactly. Just look at that elephant curling the trunk. Absolutely peaceful, at rest with one another. This is a family group made up of a matriarch, the oldest and wisest female, and all her offspring. And potentially a sister with all the sister's offspring, but generally it's between sort of 6 and 12 elephant, these herds. Oh, and also her daughter's offspring as well. The elephants live long enough that their herds can be comprised of mom, daughter, and subsequent daughters and cousins as well. With the immature bulls leaving the herd anywhere between sort of 12 years and 18 years old to begin their wanderings. And they will wander the bushveld until they're around about 35 to 40 years old, and that is the time when they'll only be big enough to compete for the mating rights with females. So between 35 and about 45 or 40 years old. So Belu Rushwin, you've just asked me, why do elephants keep their legs bent from time to time? Belu, I think it's just a restful attitude. It's similar to how you cross your legs in front of the TV or cross your legs at a desk, perhaps put your one leg on top of the other one. I think it's just it's a way of relaxing that particular appendage. Oh, look at this young bull walking across the road. So Belu, just to conclude that point, I don't think that there's any meaningful, deep thing about it. I think it's literally just a relaxation pose, relaxing that particular leg or that particular muscle group, stretching it out perhaps. Kurt, all the way from Switzerland, has just sent me a message to say that he is visiting the Kruger National Park next week, Well, I'm looking forward to that, Kurt. You must be very excited already at this particular point. And you said, how will you know if an elephant's upset with you? All right, we're just going to send you over to Brent. He may have something very special to show you.
Okay, so we're on the tracks of those dogs. We heard them calling, then they appeared behind us already, and now Aubrey said they went into Buffalo's Hook, but there they are, there they are. Come back to Juma, come back to Juma. There we go, an early birthday present for me. My favorite animal, the African wild dog. That's so exciting. Hello, puppies. Now this looks like the dispersal pack from the Lower Sabi, and I want to see if they're going to den late. So I'm trying to see if the female, where is she? She's up in head. No, she's not looking pregnant. Nkuhumas. There we go. They're going back onto Juma. No, they're going down Buffalo's Hook boundary. So isn't that incredible? From where we heard them, they're probably about 3 or 4 kilometers already. Okay, look, they're going into Juma. Yay! Okay, time to engage low range. I might have to break my wide angle rule for the day, put the big lens on. Oh, they are coming close enough. Will we get a wide angle shot? That's what we heard. That's what we heard not 10 minutes ago that put us in the mad dash after the dogs. Well, X-Ranger says it sounds like the noise a phone makes when you hang up on someone. Well, fortunately, I don't use phones too often. For me, it's the sound of excitement. Puppies. Now, maybe it isn't the Lower Sabi. I'm going to have to get some pictures to send to Grant so he can ID for me exactly. Don't go back that way, that's the wrong way. Look at this, isn't this beautiful? Looks like they're going back towards so we're going to stick around. They are crossing. Oh, don't go that way, guys. Okay, hold on. We need to turn around. So we're going to stay with the dogs while we've got the visuals. We're not going to, if they keep going that way, we're going to lose visuals, so let's get the last visuals of them. But they are zigzagging and going up and down. Let's get a last visual there. They might come back, so we're not going to move too far from this area because they'll be north and come back south already. Oh, isn't that stunning? Even if it is just the briefest of visuals, I am a happy, happy camper. Okay, so they've disappeared. I'm going to try calm down for a second. I'm just really happy we got to see them. But while we calm down, let's go back across to Steph with the calming elephants. Oh, apparently we're staying with me. Okay, so it looks like they might be going... We're going to try stay around here. They might come back south. So I'm just going to see where the vehicles are going. They seem to be going northeast. Okay. Now, we're just going to sit here. Jen is wondering, well, if all the dogs are together, who are they calling to? Jen, they're a dispersal pack, and they've got quite a sad history, unfortunately. So what happened is that an outbreak of canine distemper wiped out the rest of their pack. So they could still be calling for the members that are already dead. They could be looking for new pack members. So the one thing about being 3 survivors from a big pack like that, they're almost certainly related. So they're going to need to find, probably, just judging that the fact that there are 2 males and 1 female, they're going to have to find an unrelated male or 2 unrelated males to form a new alpha pair. So that's what they're calling for more than likely. And I've got some really interesting news. I went to see my friends Tristan and Ali last night, and there are 2 males that have dispersed from the Sands pack. So hopefully, if we're really lucky, that those 2 will meet up. And they weren't far from here last night, so maybe that's who they're calling for. Maybe these weren't the dogs we heard calling. Maybe it was the dispersal guys. So I think I might meander back that way and see if maybe those 2 males are coming. Wouldn't that be incredible to have a 3rd pack of wild dogs here? It would be absolutely amazing. And let's just hope they decide this is the spot to hang out in and den. I'm just listening to where the cars are going. It sounds like they're going a little bit further to the east, so we're just going to roll down the hill. I'm half expecting to just see Impala dashing. Okay, it looks like they're coming back south. So Ellen in Arkansas has noticed that that wild dog put its head to the ground when it's calling. So in the exact same way as a hyena does to try and project that sound further. Okay, I saw the vehicles up there, and I'm trying to see if they're coming back down. Let me just check with orbs. When we get a gap, I saw the vehicles up there. They seem to be coming this way, but I'm just listening carefully. Okay, they've turned north again. But they could easily pop back out. So we're sitting out on the road again with long views in each way, different long road. And listening to the cars with great jealousy as they crash after the wild dogs. What to do now? What do you spot with them? Oh, a battalier. Now, he'll be hoping the wild dogs make a kill and can get a snack. So I can still hear the vehicles. Now, David's wondering, are those dogs hunting? I would say probably not, David. I'm just listening, sorry. Okay. So, David says, are they hunting? It doesn't look like it because they are calling. I think they're looking for more members to join that pack. But being wild dogs, if they see an impala, they will chase it, like most predators. Okay, they're going back slightly to the west, but unfortunately not where we can see it. Okay, we're going to keep on the patrol around here in case those dogs decide to come back. While we do that, let's go see how Steph's doing.
Painted wolf that you're stolen away from. Isn't that fantastic that we got to see them, hey? Days like this, I tell you, it's been such a phenomenal last few days here, and it's such a typical example of this dry season, animals just coming in from everywhere to sort of be around. The antelope are coming in for water, predators are coming in for food, and then on top of it you get one of Africa's rarest large carnivores, the African wild dog, to share with. And of course, Brent's excitement and enthusiasm for it. For me, I'd rather choose to stay at a more sedate pace and look for the smaller, more scurrying creatures. Now, we're trying to find where Sindile has his kill in a tree. And Kurt, I just want to now finish, now that the excitement has sort of is subsided a bit. So I just want to finish my my pointers for you visiting the Kruger National Park. And you're worried about elephant. You're worried about how do you tell that an elephant is cross with you. Well, Kurt, the first thing is always give elephant right of way. So when you can see them walking down the road, let them walk down the road. If you see them wanting to cross from left to right or from right to left, once again, that is what you must let them do. Don't get in their way, basically. That's the rule number one when dealing with elephants. Other than that, a very upright posture. So head up, ears out, and bearing down on you. You want to try and avoid situations like that. And the easiest way to do that is, of course, just to create distance. So if you're ever in a situation where an elephant is trying to bear down on you, it just feels like they're trying to assert dominance over you, ears out, head up, that is exactly what you need to do, is listen to that and create distance. Elephant usually calm down, I would say, 99% of the time. All right, now, excuse me breaking off from that, Kurt. I'll get back to you in a second, but somewhere around here we have a leopard. And I'm just trying to... Oh, okay. I've got the kill. I haven't been in the sighting just yet, so I can see the kill is in the tree in front of us. And obviously doesn't have a leopard attached to it. So last time he was here, he was eating a piece.
Oh, there he is. Just straight there. Straight through.
So Brian is... Oh, okay, I've got him. All right. So we've got him. He's lying in the shade just to the side of the kill. So let's go there. Well done, Mr. Brian. Spotted his unmistakable silhouette in the shade of the tree. All right, lying in that Such typical pose, that relaxed on the side cat pose. We're going to see if we can get you into a nice place to view him without looking at the back of his head. Alright, so Kurt, the idea is literally just to relax around elephant, give them right of way, and if they show any sort of overtly domineering, if you feel like you're being dominated, then just create distance with elephant, and that should solve 9 out of 10 of your problems. Alright. We're just going to go around to where he's lying at the moment. Looks like he's been lying underneath this bush for most of the morning. There's a few tracks here of cars that have come in and out. I don't want to let him get scared. Yesterday when I was looking at him from the final control, you're going to be okay here, Mr. Brian. Let's see if I can thread your camera through here and the aerial. All good. Yesterday when I was looking at his reactions from the final control, he seemed like he was a little bit on edge with vehicles and with people, and no wonder. I think he's warranted as having full right to dislike people. I'm going to make a statement here that may seem bizarre, but this is the first time that I lay my eyes upon young Sindile. I have never seen this leopard before. Yeah. Not in all the time that we had all those beautiful visuals of him and James creating that almost, that bond with him, basically. I don't know how else to put it. Not in any of that time was I lucky enough to see Sindile. This is the first time that I'm laying my own eyes on him. And he is actually a beautiful cat. He's well proportioned. He's well muscled. I agree with Brent. I quite enjoy the color of his coat. He's got this history that we now know about him, and that endears him to us, or to me at least anyway. But Justin, you've asked me how much does an adult leopard weigh. Now, they're very variable in their weight, Justin. And the reason for that is because they're so highly adaptable. They fill niches literally from the borders of our towns and our cities even. Pretoria and Nelspruit are frequently visited by leopard. Leopard also inhabit mountainous regions and all the way into the jungles in Central Africa. And they get bigger the more tropical the area gets. And I think it's just because of the prey availability. So in places like the Sabi Sands here, going into Botswana and in Zambia, you find the heaviest leopard. With the heaviest leopard ever measured at around about 110 kilograms, which is about 220, 230 pounds. With the heaviest leopard in the Sabi Sand ever measured at about 90 kilograms or 95 kilograms. Brent knows the exact weight, but it's somewhere around the 90 kilograms, which is heavy, which is about 180 pounds, somewhere around there, 190 pounds. So a decent-sized animal. He is probably in the region of about 50 kilograms, I would say. He definitely isn't as big as what he's going to be one day, barring any further mishap. And for those who are just joining us this morning, for those new viewers that have just joined us this morning, this particular leopard was caught and collared after being bitten by a rabid dog, a rabid domestic dog. And he was quarantined for about 9 months while he was undergoing some medical treatment and also just making 100% sure that he wasn't infected with the rabies virus. 2 reasons for that. One is because we were compelled to help this young guy, And two is you don't want an animal that is habituated to vehicles like this being set free where the potential for human-animal interaction is high. We wanted to make 100% sure that this animal wasn't going to create a threat to human life. And so that's why he was quarantined for all that time. He was then released where he was caught, and contrary to popular belief, instead of dispersing very, very far, which is the norm, he basically traveled, I don't know, 40, 50 miles away from where we are now, and then came back and is now with a fresh kill, literally a mile or two from where he was born. And is a bit of an enigma to the local scientists. And for that reason, he has that collar on. He is a science, he's adding to science by the second. You can see it over there. Many, many animals get collared. It's a practice that has been happening for decades and with little to no effect to this animal's health and well-being whatsoever. Carly, you've just asked me if we've had any experiences, dangerous experiences with animals. Carly, all the time. You get it wrong sometimes with these animals. As much as what we've been around and seeing animal behavior and being part of these animals' lives, you sometimes do tread over that boundary, and animals will warn you, you know. A leopard, for instance, that is fine one day and a week later is hungry or feels chased around or has been harassed by a lion, might turn around and charge a car or charge you on foot for no reason other than he's just feeling a bit grumpy that day or a bit edgy that day. And there's no real protection we have. We sit in open vehicles here, and you know, you can get, and let me say that the potential is there for animals to do people harm all the time. The reality is that they don't really, and that quite often you just get a big fright, that animal chastises you absolutely. And you get a big fright, and those boundaries are re-established and re-evaluated, and you carry on with your day. The odd occasion that an animal does follow through and attack a human being is not rare. A couple of times a year in this country, animals will kill humans, but compared to the sheer weight of game drives going out in a day and the amount of tourists that come and visit our national parks throughout Africa, those incidences are a fraction of a fraction. And can almost always be traced to either humans making a human error. I've just been talking about being chastised. I have my facts slightly wrong there. Sindile wasn't bitten by the dog. He bit the dog with rabies. There was a chance that he was infected by the rabies virus through the dog's saliva, which could have penetrated his skin or have in some way infected him. We just took the necessary precautions for the reasons that I did mention, though. So he didn't actually get rabies, but he was vaccinated against it, and he was held in quarantine just in case. So please excuse me for that. Forgetting myself here. All right, and while we're watching him relax in the shade with his impala his belly full of impala, Brent, I'm sure, has an update for you on what's happened with those dogs.
Unfortunately, those dogs kept heading north, but Herbie found the remains of a kill the lions made last night in this block. So we're just checking now down to the east, making sure they haven't crossed this way, and then we're going to start heading back up towards Mvubu Road. Hopefully, if they have made a kill, they're going to head towards the Pan for a drink at Gallagher. So we're going to go have a look there now. But we're just going very slowly, making sure we don't miss any tracks. What a busy morning. Wow, those dogs move fast. They're now, from where we saw them, probably 3-4 kilometers. Heading east. Now, I keep hoping to spot an eagle owl in this tree. James Richard says, when I blow out my birthday candles tomorrow, maybe I should wish for a wild dog den on Juma. Well, I'm actually going to be very lucky on my birthday because I'm going to go see my parents at their house, and 600 meters from the house is a wild dog den with babies. So I will see wild dogs and babies on my birthday. And speaking of babies, look at the little Inyala. Aren't you lucky, little Inyala, that the wild dogs didn't come this way? Nice little group of females. Doing some grooming. You can see how ruffled their neck and whatnot is, and that's from grooming and allo grooming. And if we have a look a little bit to the right, oh, there we go, there's two female Inyala allo grooming each other, and that's why they've got those funny looking necks, all puffed up, fluffed up. And the baby is obviously being groomed by everyone because he's fluffed up everywhere. Yeah, I think Aubrey might be on foot. Look at that, isn't that wonderful? It's not too often we get to see nice allo grooming from antelope. And let the little Inyala family keep moving as they head off behind us. We're going to carry on looking for lions. Now, Dara in Ohio says ruminants must not have a gag reflex. Well, that's true, and since they purposely bring up food on a constant basis to chew the cud. Okay. Ooh. What have we in that tree? That's an interesting looking little bird. From a distance, let's get a bit closer. There we go. Now this could be a new bird species for a few people. There it is, isn't that pretty? That is a little mosque swallow. A mosque swallow. So I wonder who's got mosque swallow on their bird list. Hopefully it's a new one for a few of you. Have them chirping away, basking in the early morning light. There we go, lovely little birds. Off. Off one went. Are the others going to follow? Oh, coming back in. Still, oh, there we go. Went for a little swoop. Maybe caught an insect. There we go. There's that very distinct swallow call. Okay, well, let's leave the swallows to their morning grooming. So, while we continue searching, let's go back to Steph and how exciting with his first ever sighting of young Sindile.
It is quite nice, profound meeting a new leopard for a first time, especially one that's as relaxed as this. It's just quite a nice. We'll be sitting here enjoying the warmth of the sun, looking at the color of the blue in the sky, and then we're just marveling at the fact that we've got this leopard lying 15 feet or 15 yards away from us, pretty much oblivious to the fact that we're here. And at peace, surrounded by lion, surrounded by wild dog, surrounded by elephant, and we've got this little island of calm here. Now, he's got an impala in the tree. He's eaten, I suppose, now around about 80-90% of it. Birdie, you've asked me how often do leopard eat. Birdie, leopard will eat as often as they are able to catch something. So they're opportunistic. So even though his belly is full at the moment, he's pretty much swallowed that entire impala that you're having a look at over there now. If another impala had to walk past you, he would jump up and he'd kill it if he can. But they can go for several weeks without food. They've got a pretty high metabolism, and therefore this impala that you're looking at now will only really last him, from a metabolic point of view, no more than 2 weeks. And he'll be hunting again desperately, probably 4 to 5 days from now. They get hungry like you and I do, I think, just from my observations in the bush. You know, after a full meal, you don't need to eat that night. If you have a big lunch, you don't need to eat that night. Potentially the next morning you'd feel a bit snacky, but by lunchtime your tummy's going to begin growling again. And by dinner of the following night, doesn't matter how much you ate the previous day, you're going to want to eat something. And you could possibly push through that day and maybe the next day, but by day 3 you're going to be feeling it. It's exactly the same with leopard. You see this casual hunting turn into a sort of desperation here at about 4 days to a week or so, and then they usually come right. How long can they last? I've seen an injured leopard, a leopard that was bashed around a bit by lion, last about 2 weeks, get to a point where literally their skin looks like they just stretched over a skeleton. Their body starts to use the muscle fibers for energy at about 10 days to 2 weeks. And although I think they can probably last about 3 weeks without food, I think at that point they would need to find something dead to eat. They wouldn't be in a position to catch anything anymore. So we have got a much higher tolerance for starvation than what they have, and I can only put that down to them having a higher metabolism than what we have. Although, you know, the hunger pangs as I've just described them are pretty similar. What a nice view of his whiskers at this particular point. Those whiskers are to aid him hunting in the dark. They're there to help him feel gaps in the vegetation. And they are very attached to very sensitive nerves, and it's just the light allowing us to capture those whiskers. It's beautiful. My favorite spot on the leopard, you know, over the last couple of days we've had, I'll finish this now in a second. And I'll finish what I was saying in a bit, just to answer Red Dog's question on is Sindile big for his age? No, I don't think so. red dog. He's probably, I don't know, once again, excuse me for not knowing the exact facts of when he was born, but I suppose, how old do you say he is now, Brian? He's a year and a half now?
Yeah, I'd say about 20 months or so.
Yeah, 20 months to 24, somewhere around there. And he's not particularly big for his age. I think, comparatively speaking to young male leopard in this particular area, he's probably average, maybe slightly above average. As to leopards in the country, yes, he'd be well above average, I think, in the total average of leopard weights across the country, just because he is in the Sabi Sands. And his father is probably one of the following males, the Anderson male, or Mvula, or Tingana. I'm not too sure. And they're all big leopard. Those leopard are all enormous leopard. His mom isn't particularly big. And neither is his grandmother. But, he's got good genes in him, that's for sure. And who knows what he'll actually turn into. Now, my favorite part of a leopard, just to come back to that, is exactly where you're going to now. That saddle that you're looking at there, with those rosettes, those dots of color, is my favorite part on a leopard. It's just that coat that goes from the single or the smaller dot across the shoulders to the actual large rosette across the pelvis, to me, is just an absolutely fantastic part of a leopard. Beautiful, beautiful coloring. Disruptive patterning, that's what that's called, or disruptive camouflage, and those rosettes and that black mark is to break up the silhouette of the leopard. Very similar to how military fatigues have blotches of different colors on them. It's to break up the silhouette. It's to allow the eye not to follow a straight line. And it's that straight line that usually gives away the presence of a predator. So Michael's just provided some fact here to my repertoire here about Sindile. Thank you very, very much, Michael. Michael said that Sindile will be 2 years old next month. So slightly older than my year and a half, and a little bit older than Brian's 20-month prediction. But so he's 23 months old at the moment, and therefore exactly how big he should be for this particular area. Yes, look at those whiskers, just long and beautiful, lustrous whiskers. Diamond, you're a new viewer, and I just want to say welcome, and you couldn't have picked a better time to join. We've got a leopard in view here. This is a very well-known leopard called Sindile, and you just asked me how much does this particular leopard weigh. I'd say he's probably in the region of about 50 kilograms at the moment. Yeah, I'd say about 50 kilograms, maybe slightly lower, between 40 and 50 kilograms, which is between 80 to 100 pounds around about. And he'll almost double in weight by the time he's an adult, which will happen in about 3 years' time. So he's almost 2. In about, looks like he's gonna change position, maybe. Yeah, he's just moving out of the way of that stick. Lying in the cool sand. Stretching his way out there. He's now a little bit more alert than he was. Leopard, they eat a little bit, come down the tree. They hardly ever sleep in the same tree that they feed in. So Daniel, you've just asked me how big this particular cat's territory is and do they overlap? Daniel, he doesn't have a territory just yet. He has what we call a home range. It's a range that he wanders in. The reason he doesn't have a territory yet is because he's still considered an adolescent. He has left his mom. He's definitely alone at the moment and fully capable of looking after himself, but he doesn't have a territory just yet. He isn't starting to mark and to roar. That'll happen in about 3 years' time. And then your second part of your question, you wanted to know if leopard territories overlap. And no, they don't overlap. They have quite rigid borders, except that the borders are very fluid. So male leopard territories don't overlap. They're not like lion territories, but the edges of the borders are very fluid. And for years, it was it was decided, I suppose, it was a common knowledge that leopard had core territories which never overlapped with one another and home ranges that did overlap with one another. But the current understanding is that they have a territory that with no overlap, but with a boundary that is fluid depending on their condition. So the boundary will move. Very similar to how an amoeba is, I suppose. As I was saying, leopard will eat until they're full, and then they will go, and usually they'll go and sleep away from the tree that their food is in. And the reason for that is that should a lion or another leopard run in here, that cat, the intruder, will be focused on the food and not on the cat, and it'll give the leopard time to make an escape, even though at the cost of his dinner. But the leopard will move away, and it's just a very good thing to see that he's taking these precautions instinctively. Just goes down to show you that, you know, good breeding from very successful parents is a good strategy for success. And he has a very good mom. In actual fact, his mom comes from good breeding stock. He's one of his mother's only surviving cubs. Me personally, I don't think it's got anything to do with her mothering skills whatsoever. I think it's got everything to do with where she finally chose to put up her territory. And I think that she loses her cubs because of the massive clan of hyena, mostly, that is wandering around her territory. That is my own personal opinion, at least anyway. Excuse me battling around here with my microphone if you're getting these funny noises coming through. I'm just trying to keep the microphone in a place that doesn't let my voice fade and get muffled. I'm turning my head too much. Brian's giving me the evil eye here. I'll just face my microphone and stop moving around. Here he's sleeping again. So once again, just he's got a kill right here. Then they don't need water. They just need the meat. They get all their fluid from that. And so he's actually quite content to just stay here and make sure that all that meat gets turned into fat if it can, before moving on to the next thing. All right, and on that note, and with Sindile now fast asleep again, I think we're going to send you over to Brent, who has managed to dredge up a surprise for you. Ooh, sorry. See you later.
Here we go, the Nkuhumas, and we have Herbie to thank. He's been tracking them all morning, and then suddenly a bush started talking to him. And what we mean is the bush started growling. And here we go. It looks like the lionesses and the cubs. They were walking down this little river system. I'm going to wait to see if they keep coming. It looks like they might keep walking towards us. If they do decide to go to sleep there, we might have to do some repositioning. Oh, there we go. That's even better if she comes up and out of the river. Wonderful. Well, I thought she was going to make it difficult for us, but she seems to be making it easier. It'll be nice if they come lie out in the open here. Looked like she was going to pop out somewhere right here. Or she laid down in the shade. Let's go have a look. What a morning! And strangely enough, we've had lion, now leopard, and wild dogs all within about 1,000 acres. This northeastern corner of Djuma has been incredibly productive this morning. There she is. And all the cubs. Hi, guys. So she's coming out of the river. Oh, there's the rest of the pride are lying up just here. Let me just go forward. See if we can get a view through here. Okay, how's that, Vim? Morning, guys. Seems like you had a successful evening. I'm not sure what you caught. I'm going to ask Herbie. Herbie, come in. Thank you very much, Herbie. What did they bomber? Copy, thanks. So it was something small, like a kudu or waterbuck. Firm Orbs, confirm, are you on the western side of that Shkova? Sorry guys, just got to get Aubrey in here quickly. Orbs, just come to the Mnisikai. You should get my visual. They're coming out of the Shkova onto the eastern bank. Oh, sounds like there's much happening behind us. We're going to stop in a second and we're going to be able to hear all the noises of the wonderful little cubs. Sorry guys. Aubrey, do you have my visual? Look at this, isn't this just too special? We are so lucky to spend as much time. But quickly to Sindile, it looks like he's going to go back up the tree.
Does indeed look like Sindile is going to go back up the tree. Just diving out of the way here. Yeah, it looks like he is hungry again. You see that twitch of his tail giving away his mood. Let's see which direction he chooses to go. He might just choose to lie down there. No, he's looking up at the food. Let's see what. Doesn't have much left, and at this particular point, there's always the danger that the food falls out of the tree. No, he's decided to go and change location to sleep in. Look at how he blends into those leaves in the background. Just absolutely fantastic. And you can see that disruptive coloration there on the right-hand side of his neck in the shade. Try and follow the line of the leopard there, and you'll see that where the black spot comes, your eye almost breaks the line of his pattern there. It wants to follow a line, but because of those dark blotches and spots, it almost gives it a jagged edge. And that is his camouflage working. Can you imagine that at night time? You can imagine that in much thicker bush. At a different time of year would render this leopard almost invisible. And on that point, I think we send you back to Brent with those fantastic little lion cubs.
Look at that. So she's just lying under a nice tambuti tree at the bottom of a spikethorn thicket. And the cubs are feeding, but I think they're getting a little bit aggressive, so she might stand up. So I moved to try to predict where she might walk. Now, other lioness that we initially saw looks like she's going to come in behind those ones. So I've only seen 2 lionesses so far. I haven't seen any of the others. There she's about to come out. There she is. Isn't this just wonderful? Oh, here we go. Hello, Trouble. That's very kind of you little ones to come lie out in the open. Nkuhuma cub cuteness. Now, hello, Bella. Bella Rushwin would like to know, is it true that the female lion is the one who does all the hunting and finds the food? Not completely true. Now, the males spend quite a lot of time away from the females, defending their area, patrolling their territory. So when they're not with the prides, they do a lot of their own hunting. And generally, they're very good at hunting big animals, such as buffalo and hippo in this area. Still only 2 lionesses. Now, it could quite easily be... No, I got 3 lionesses now. I said there could quite easily be the rest of them hidden beyond these thickets, and you can just make out the 3rd lioness and a cub through the spike thorn thicket. Okay, it looks like there's some more cubs going down there. I'm just going to move forward a little bit so we can see if we can get a gap through there. Oops, one little stump in the way, just hang on a second. I just need to change my angle slightly. Just to miss this big stump next to us. How's that, Vim? I think we're at quite a precarious angle, so but it's worth it though to see those little ones with their mom. Now, after all that maneuvering we did to get here, she's moving away. But the cubs are going to follow her, more than likely. So we'll just wait for them to move before we move. Now, Blobbert McBlob is with that lion fight that happened yesterday. Oh, and there's the last cub. Off he goes. Now, we're probably sitting, what angle would you say, VM?
38.
38 degrees, there we go, VM, exactly. 38 degrees facing down. So I'm going to reverse backwards to get into a better position again. While we do that, let's go back to Steph.
Well, Sindile is actually quite aware of what's going on. He hasn't laid down to sleep at all. I think he's getting ready to jump up into that tree and to finish off the last little bit of his food. You can see him looking blissfully at his meal, catching a scent on the air. He seems very at ease, very relaxed. Not a care in the world, actually. Once again, just coming back to the anomaly that is this cat. Generally, dispersal male leopard wander from or through territory to territory, getting pushed out by the dominant male in that particular area until they either find a void that has no male leopard. A male leopard may have been killed or died of disease or whatever, or they eventually become big enough to fight for a territory and to squash themselves either into a territory or to expel a male leopard that was there through a fight. This particular male leopard has come into an area that has one close. Anderson, I don't think, comes all the way here, but definitely Tingana and Mvula are definitely crawling all over this particular patch. He has been seen sharing a kill with Mvula or Angijima as well. Was it Mvula that he was sharing a kill with the other day?
Not too sure.
Or Tingana, I can't remember which one, but he was sharing a kill the other day with an older male. It was Mvula. He was sharing a kill with Mvula the other day, which is not uncommon for the father of a cub to do with an adolescent. So it's not uncommon behavior there. Rare to see two male leopards, especially two independent male leopards in a tree together, but not unheard of and not unexpected, at least anyway, for the father of that particular male. And at 2 years, let me just think about what I've seen amongst leopard before. I mean, the fact that he's wandered so far and has come back to his natal range is actually what's astounding. The presence of an adolescent male in his natal range at 2 years of age is in itself not that remarkable. Male leopard will only really start to leave. If we look at just the recent examples of Nkuhuma and Quarantine, they only leave at 2 years plus their natal range. Incidentally, both of those male leopard, Quarantine has set up a territory probably about 10 kilometers from here in Cheetah Plains. And I don't know if he's actively defending it yet, but he's definitely there. And Nkuhuma gave a dominant male leopard called the airstrip male a hiding the other day in a bit of a territorial display. So he's starting to exhibit that stubbornness that is inherent of dominant male leopards. But they're obviously much older than this youngster. So I fully expect him to actually move on at a point. But I think it's expected that he is young and in his natal range, with the exception that he wandered so far when he was dropped back here, easily 50 miles from here, in a massive circle. I think it'll be the cause of much debate in years to come as to exactly why. There's a theory on the table at the moment that because the Kruger National Park has closed off all its watering points, that prey was just so limited that no matter in which direction he went, he couldn't find enough to eat. And the Sabi Sands, having a lot of surface water and a lot of prey animals, was just the natural place for him to come. And it just so happens to have led him back to his natal range. So James Richard has just asked me, since I've now seen Sindile, do I have any other male leopards on my bucket list? James, immediately what springs to mind is just, I'd love to see this Anderson male that everyone keeps on talking about. Apparently he's an absolutely enormous leopard. So I'd love to see him. Other than that, James, my interests don't really lie with these cats. I mean, I appreciate that they're pretty and that they are phenomenally good hunters and that they are really the poster children for the bush out here. My interests lie with the smaller creatures around here. And so I have a bucket list which includes many dozens of insects and spiders and different types of arachnids and lizards and snakes. But yeah, I appreciate what I'm seeing. I mean, he is a good looking animal, there's no doubt. All right, and Brent has got a little bit of an update on those lions at the moment, so we'll stay here with Sindile until the end of the show and catch up with you in a little bit.
So there's a lot of feeding going on. Listen to that. It's amazing how quickly these cubs' voices are becoming so deep. There we go. Oh, Mom's had enough. Doesn't want to let go. Complaining. Now imagine those little lion cubs' teeth are as sharp as little hypodermic needles. Just shows you how tough a lioness is. So, Blobbert MacBlob, back to your question about would a group of lionesses eventually just get sick of a male and try to push him out? Not necessarily. What happened yesterday is there was a bit of a shift in dynamics which caused that fight yesterday. And we've had that limpy Birmingham who's been hanging around with that youngest Nkuhuma lioness, waiting for her to come into estrus. And I think we weren't there exactly, but I can speculate what happened. So there was that other Birmingham who was just lying on the peripheries, not getting involved. Every time he moved, he got growled at. But as soon as that lioness came into full estrus, he decided to take charge. And he hadn't been wasting energy following and keeping with her. So there was a fight between the males. And on top of that, a third male arrived, which also created pandemonium. And I think what happened is one of them got grumpy with the cubs or whatnot, and the three mothers went at that one male. And of course, in that situation, he got pushed out, but he'll be back. The lionesses are not going to completely push away any male from the Birmingham coalition, because if he really wanted to, he could turn around and probably kill all three of those lionesses. As what happened when they came into this area, Nkuhumas lost. Sorry, just listening to that incredible sound. The Nkuhumas lost, I think it was 3 adult lionesses to the Birminghams during the coalition, and the one sub-adult, the sister of the youngest female who's about to start mating. So she managed to survive. And what you probably found during that takeover, these lionesses were defending, not Junior, as a lot of people thought, who was the young male who's now gone, but those young lionesses. Oh, look at that. Because the strength of a lion pride's genetics lies with the females. So all the females in a pride are going to be related. So looking after a female in the pride and the future of the pride is something that occasionally, not always, a lioness might risk her life for. No, I had enough of being breakfast. Even though the visuals aren't the best, the sounds are incredible.
When did they last eat?
Yeah, they got
I never get tired of those incredible sounds. What a busy morning it's been. Leopard, lion, wild dog, elephants.
You guys ever show Rhino?
Well, Shamsung says she wishes we could put a little color dab on each of the cubs so we could identify the individuals. Shamsung, I'd like to watch. If someone wants to go put some paint on a lion cub, I think Mom would be quite angry. As Herbert said, they were talking to him when he found them on foot today, which means they were growling quite aggressively. Well, good news for the sunset safari is that we're going to be right here and we know where the lions are, and it's going to be a stinker today. I think we could get over 30 degrees Celsius, so it's unlikely that these lions are going to move too far. And if they do move from here, they're probably going to move towards the Galago Pan or the Vuyatela Pan.
Is that the baby? Yeah. It's the smallest one. Look.
Hello, Lauren in Illinois. Lauren would like to know, when cubs are first introduced to the Pride, between that 6 and 8 week period, how long will it take for them to feel comfortable enough to allo suckle on the other lionesses? Well, Lauren, it generally happens within a day or two. And you must remember, lions, although... oof. Lions are, I don't want to call them stupid, but they're not smart. So a lot of what happens with most of the animals, particularly the predators, like the big cats, is a lot of those things are instinctive. So it's taken many, many, many years of evolution to develop those things. And all those little traits are to help for the survival of the species. So I think probably it might even happen on the first day. As soon as they see a lactating female, they'll go for it. And the lionesses will put up with cubs that are not their own. So it looks like the females are going to head now down deeper into this little ravine, where it's probably a bit cooler, lie in the cool sand. And unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to be able to get a vehicle in there. And it looks like some of the cubs are starting to follow as well. And the last lioness is on the move. Is that a male on the other side? I think I can see a male lion on the other side of the ravine. I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see it from here. Let me just double check. Or it could be one of the other lionesses. Oh, so much bush. Okay. I can't really see. I just see a lion leg on the other side of the drainage line. And it's just... it is a male. So one of the Birminghams is lying on the other side. Now, I wonder who that is. Is it the Victor from last night with the scars all over his face? But all the lions have disappeared down into the little ravine. So we'll try and maneuver to get one last view. I don't think it's going to be possible. So while we do that, let's go see how Steph's doing with Sindile.
And we are still with this young male leopard. He's now lying up at the base of the tree, slightly different to where he was. Just lying up. I think what he's doing is he's getting a bit hot. The sun is intense at the moment. I'm feeling it beating down upon my neck. He's just breathing there, belly full, very content. That is a happy leopard. Love this profile of his face. Leopard skulls are actually almost completely oval. Now, what we're not seeing there is the fact that the nose, which is cartilaginous, not bony, hides that round. So that's a perfect line to see how a leopard's skull is. You can see that almost oval look because you can't see his nose. His nose protrudes out and breaks that. But even from the front, you recognize that roundness. Now, if you have a look at a leopard's skull from the front, it's actually triangular. The roundness comes from muscles which are attached to the lower jaw, which give leopard their bite force. But now if you follow that line, take off the nose and follow that line from the forehead down to the front lip, you will see that it's an almost completely oval skull from this side profile. And that, if you look at a pair of garden shears, that shearing motion, that absolute power that you get from an oval or a circular shearing motion is what gives leopard their incredible bite force. And it's just a marvel of creation and of form following function when you see how well these cats are actually designed and adapted. So Diamond, you've just asked how many years will this cat most likely live for, and how many years do leopard live for? Leopard usually live between 12 and 16 years, with the odd exception getting to 18 years that I've heard of through the ether. And the reason why that is in this particular area is mainly because this area is jam-packed with predators. Lots of hyena, lots of other male leopard, lots of lion, and that's generally what get leopard down, or the cause of the end. But starvation, I heard a report when I was a young guide once of them doing some tests on the bones of leopard and figuring out that leopard go through these feast and famine stages in development, where things go very good for them and then things don't go so good for them, and it's evident in their bone structure. So I think it's pretty typical of how leopard live out here. One day is good, the next day they've spent 2 weeks not finding anything or being chased around. It's come to that part of the day where I have to unfortunately say goodbye to you for now. But I just have to say from myself and from Brian, and I also would like to say from Brent and from David today, that thank you very, very much for coming aboard with us today. Thank you for all your questions and concerns. There's the thumb making an appearance and saying goodbye to all of you. From the two ladies, Kirsten and Louise in Final Control, and from the rest of the team that makes this possible, thank you very, very much. And to, of course, all of you, thank you very, very much for your support, your questions, watching what we do, being part of the community, welcoming all the new viewers. And we will see you soon again, 3 o'clock Central Africa time. Look after yourselves. All the best wherever you are. Bye-bye.